Rightio guys, so what I'm going to show you now is the next step of what we were doing, which was to create or try to animate ourselves. So now you wouldn't try to animate the person in this pose. They would normally be standing sort of pretty sort of shoulder width apart with the feet, and then hands out straight out, pointing out into the side. That's how you would generally want to be taking photogrammetry, but just for the sake of the exercise and show you the process, I'm just going to use this model. First thing you want to do when we get this model mesh back from 123D Catch, there's just a lot of vertices. So the tool we want to use is called Pro Optimizer. It's the one. So what we can do is a few little sort of settings we can. First of all, if we're going to keep the textures, if we're going to animate, that'll be very useful. But then we'd also drop that down, and we can actually drop it down quite a lot because it's quite such a heavy mesh. 50%. So what we're eventually going to try and do is to get it into a typical skinning biped mesh. So if you have a quick Google of body topology, which I can show you now actually. Topology. There are a few sites which are pretty good, but you get the idea is like how the sort of mesh polygons make up a body, and what's the best way to do it, specifically for like the connections of the joints, the knees and elbows and that sort of stuff. That's where it's probably most important. So when you start to skin it and you start to add animations into these things, then they start to move like a person would or person should. So that's the aim of what you're trying to do with this. At this stage, like there's still, you look at some of the ones, there's still way too many. So let's go ahead and we'll try 20% serious. It's kind of kind of getting there a little bit. There's still a lot of things. Let's try 10%. And I guess it's whatever you want to find the balance between. I can sort of tell that's. No, I suppose not really Starsy, but yeah, it depends on the accuracy of the mesh you wanna make, I guess. Yep. So with that one all good, we might go just collapse them. Because what we were going to do now is. So we're going to start to collapse these meshes, these vertices a little bit more. So what I found the best way to do was actually to get a slice plane, which you can find in Meta Geometry maybe. There it is, the slice plane. And what you can do is we can shift it to. If we go to the front view, we can zoom in, and we'll take his body as an example. We can start to split him up wherever we so please. Let me just go slice. And what I like to do with these slice planes is just use them as like a rough guide. And what it does is it puts a slice down all of the mesh that you've selected. So we're actually selecting all of that entire mesh at the moment and all the vertices, and we're cutting it that way. What I would also do is, where's my front one? There it is. Turn it this way. It doesn't have to be perfect. And start slicing him here. And you go over here and slice it. And we don't want split on. Split will give you two separate meshes, but we're not what we want. And I would go through and slice up the model like so. We can turn him off now. and you start to see that grid, so you can sort of give yourself a bit of, some sort of a guideline, I guess. Let's turn him back on actually, and we'll move him back over here, more central. We'll give you another one in there. Now it's all okay, doesn't matter at the moment because it's such a rough mesh, but what we can do soon is so it was just Alt W to make the window bigger there. So we can go over here, drop down this mirror, this ribbon, sorry. Let's just change into an editable poly, and what we want are these commands here. So it needs to be an editable poly, and we want to be using those the vertices. You can edge edges, but I find vertices you have a little bit more control. And the commands we'll be using is collapse, pconnect. I found very useful, and so what this does is you can do is use control. You can select as many vertices as you want, and so what I try to do is we'll get there in here first. We'll just collapse them, and that size brings them down together. So what you can go through and do is just the ones that are bunched together. I found this is the best way to do it, is just to kind of collapse the ones which are really kind of tightly packed together, and slowly start to like really orderly reduce the amount of meshes. Now you do have to be a little bit careful when you're doing this, because when you start collapsing too many of them together, let's just select here the old Q select run on vertices, number 1. You start going a bit too outrageous and collapsing it down. Well, okay, that's probably not the best example, but basically sometimes when it becomes there's less and less vertices, the mapping on the texture starts to go, so you need to be a little bit careful or strategic about how you start to collapse these points down. What you might find as well is that if you do something like this one that starts to go off a little bit, you want to recreate a line through there, because that's your main point. Use this pconnect. Now the two useful buttons to use is control, that'll snap to a vertice, and then if you release control, you can go straight through the lines, and if you wanted to go halfway through a line, for example, and you want to go over there, that'll go to the midpoint of the line, and then if you want to snap back to the vertice, hit control, hold down control, come back to the point. So they're the useful commands for doing that. And one last one that I was going to show you is so if you've got, for example, a bunch of different points, and they're all over the place, and you wanted to align them. So perhaps you wanted to align them to a specific view, which I find or found when doing this very useful, is the view align command. It's one where it will snap it. Oh, hold on, that was so that was select on the front one, so that's aligning all of the front and back ones to the front view. If we go to the left view, for example, and we go view align, it will snap it. So now they're all in a straight line there. It's aligned it to the left view, and you can also make them planar to X, Y, Z plane, yeah. So there are some few fun commands to play around with your editable poly. Very useful when breaking down meshes into animate bipeds. So I hope it's sort of helped or taught you something. Yeah, great. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Catch you.